Hey guys, I'm Chris, your real estate problem solver. Now, do you know what to look for when you're looking at an investment property or doing a rehab or a flip? Well, stick with us and we're going to show you this house that we're going to be possibly making an offer on. We're going to go through and find and show you what all we find with the house, the good, the bad, the ugly, and then at the end, stay tuned, we're going to go over the numbers and explain why or why not we're going to go forward with this house. So stay with us. Now, of course, the first thing that we're going to look at is the overall look of the house. You know, has the trees hanging over the roof, and the brush taking over the property. This one actually did get overgrown. Somebody has come here in the last couple weeks, as you can see, and cleared out all the azaleas. They've cut the southern magnolia down and gotten the branches hanging all over the roof kind of cut away. But that's a big red flag that you don't want to have any vegetation hanging real close to the house, because vegetation holds moisture and moisture causes rot. So they cut it all away from the house now, but beforehand, when all this was touching the house, it was keeping all the moisture next to the wall and keeping the moisture in there and slowly rotting it away. So as you can see right here, just right off the bat, a lot of the fascia boards have got some rot and peeling paint. Now, something like this is not difficult, just to get a step ladder, go up there and kind of tap it with a screwdriver and see if it sinks in. If it's a good solid piece of wood, then it's not a big deal, it just needs to be repainted. But of course, if it gets broken and brittle, then obviously it's going to need to be replaced. Same thing with the shutters. These have been here for a while and they've just gotten kind of rotted. Those are just for decoration, so you can either have them or not have them. You can take them down if you want. Now, backing up again, like I said, you want to get a good overview of the house and see what all you can see from the road. And if you'll pay attention up here past the weather vane near the top, you've already got a few shingles that have peeled off. Right here below the chimney, there's a couple that have gotten some peeling starting. Nails are backing out. So, and all the streaking that you see. Streaking isn't normally a big deal, but we already know for a fact that this house has been empty for about 5 years at least. So that streaking just kind of lends itself to telling you what the age of the house is. Also, you want to look at the lines of the house. The lines right here at the peak, it looks like it's got a little ridge top point up there. That's going to be a place where possibly water is going to come in. So when we get inside the house, we're going to take a look at that area and see if there's any water streaks or what's the situation going on with the house, and see if that's going to be a problem and what kind of repairs are going to need to be done. All right, so as we're walking around the house, we're looking at all the individual pieces of the property. Of course, these are single pane windows, so they're not going to insulate the house very well, so they may or may not need to be replaced. Now, above this one, it looks like somebody, I'm not really sure what that is. It looks like it was two different windows, because there's a support bracket right above this one, and then there's another support bracket on the second layer of bricks, where it was holding the bricks up to make way for another window right there. Not sure why they did that, so that's going to warrant a little bit of investigation. But since this is a brick house, definitely want to check over the bricks, make sure that there's no cracks, see if the foundation is still solid. And this is a gas house, so keep that in mind. Again, check the fascia boards, see if there's any fascia that needs to be replaced. Well, it looks like each time they built onto the house, they stepped it down a little bit more. Well, obviously the dryer is back here, so I'll have to check and make sure that the dryer vent is clear That's the spout, so it's still sitting there. But the overall look of this house, it's got a pretty good sized lot. Of course, the utility building has seen better days. That's probably going to need to be replaced, considering I can see light through the back side. Yeah, the back wall is completely gone. But back on the house, yeah, I don't see any real major cracks in the walls. So the brick job is still good. A lot of fascia boards have been replaced though. But this is another example. The trees overhanging the roof, holding moisture, and that's why those boards were probably replaced. So it needs paint, it needs paint, and needs fascia boards replaced in a few places. Obviously, the sun has dry rotted this garage door, so it's going to need to be replaced. All right, so I've already looked at everything on the outside. There's a couple places that need to be checked. There's some holes in the roof that are definitely going to be get fixed real quick, or else that's going to end up causing a lot of rot. And on this side, there's a little bit of a sag in the roof line. So we're gonna have to look inside, go up in the attic, and take a look at it and see if that's anything to be worried about. Now keep in mind, this is going to be a rehab. This is going to be an investment property if we buy it. But this is the kind of stuff that you can see very clearly, like the hardy board right here has already got, it's got, when it hits that ledge, it splashes up. And when it splashes, all that area tends to stay wet. That's why that board is up there, because all that got to staying wet so much that it's gathering moss. So you can tell that that's a high moisture area, so that's a place where you're going to be looking for rot. And these are things you're going to take note of. If we decide that the numbers look like they're close enough to make an offer on the property, we're definitely going to make a note of all these places. And when we order a contractor to come out and do a building inspection, the house inspection, we're going to point these out and say, hey, we want you to take a closer look at this stuff. So we're not going to be the final authority on it. We're just looking at the obvious stuff that we're like, that doesn't look right. So we don't have to be the experts. We just have to know where to find the experts. So we're going to go inside and take a look around inside and see what else we can find. I do what?
There's a roof issue due to a leak, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, there was a spot by the chimney. You can find where the chimney is. It's still got the original fireplace in the front. Yep. Well, they redid the flooring in here. Okay, here's the chimney that was outside, and yeah, right around the chimney there's a couple wet spots, so definitely the roof and the flashing is gonna have to be redone. I love the 3-inch tongue and groove boards.
Yeah, that makes it look nice and homely.
Yeah. Hope you don't mind being recorded.
That's fine. Yeah, you're right. The floor does feel a little weird in some places. We'll have to at least check.
Yeah, definitely have an inspector go underneath and kind of look and see if there's any mold or rot underneath.
This one seems okay.
Yeah, this hasn't.
99 is the African price?
99, yes. I'm going to leave it up to interpretation of what it would entail. Let's open this up a little bit so we can see a little bit more of what's going on. This looks like it might be the original kitchen. Solid wood floor or solid wood cabinets. 40-gallon water tank. And the floor underneath the laundry room, which we saw the dryer vent going outside, so we know where we are. Closet. I mean, it's a big house. And the garage is pretty good size. Now, of course, a lot of this in here is just dirt, not a big deal. The main thing that we're running into is, stuff like the air conditioner. That's going to have to come out because there's no need for it. And there are no vents in the house. So, obviously, there's no central heat and air. 3 of the rooms have kind of a little bit of give to the floor. This is the original heating units. There's 2 of them in the house. So this is how they got their heat in this house. Where there's 3 bedrooms. Now back when this house was built, there was no legal requirement to have a closet. Although there are a few of them that have a closet. Most of the bedrooms in here, the 2 of the 3 do not have an actual closet. So, and of course, someplace like this, unless you've got a real good couple bottles of CLR, this may or may not come clean. So we're doing a full rehab.
There's no closets in here whatsoever.
That one back there does have one small closet, but it's not worth mentioning. Okay, so here's the issue that we're going to be having. This is that section, that valley in the roof outside. This is kind of where it goes. And that valley has been isolating the water and dripping right here. So this is where we're really going to need an inspector to take a look and see if they can see what all is up in there that is going to be a problem and how much of a costly problem it's going to be. Okay, so this one's got a couple small closets, and the original chimney has been bricked up, but at least it was a professional job. They did a professional job closing off that fireplace. Definitely hardwoods throughout the whole house. So, another drip area. See, these tiles are just old, and some of them may have just fallen simply because they are that old. This is apparently a 1950s house. We'll have to look it up again. So, definitely have to run the numbers, and there's the second bathroom, which almost looks like an afterthought. All right, so now that we've looked through the house, we're going to run some numbers, and based on what we've seen in our experience of what these kinds of things are going to cost to have repaired, like installing a new air conditioning unit, having the entire roof replaced, all the decking boards replaced underneath that have rotted from all the leakage, and basically just upgrades. I mean, a lot of these panels are going to have to come down. We'll replace those with drywall, make this house look like a more modern day house. And but run the figures and see what kind of numbers we're going to come up with, and see if it's even worth making an offer. Some people will try to lock up a house right off the bat so nobody else can get it without them. And in so doing, they sometimes will drag it out, run the numbers, and then they can't do anything. We don't like doing that. We can pretty much gauge in a walkthrough whether or not we can figure out if the numbers for purchase, repair, and then selling is all going to make enough sense to move forward and make an offer. So we don't want to waste the seller's time. We want to get in, decide if we're going to do something. If we are going to do something, lock it up. But figure out pretty quickly whether or not it's worth the time. So let's go outside and talk more about it. All right, so we got popcorn showers coming through, and this one just happened to decide to sit right on top of us and give us a little bit of a drizzling. So, all right, so now that you've seen the house, here's a few things that we did notice, and we talked about it, and we actually decided that we're not going to go forward with doing an investment on this property and flipping it, and here's why. If you'll go back in the video footage and look at it, the window on the other side showed that there was a boxed in area over one of the windows. Well, as it turns out, that was an air conditioner hole where they had an air conditioner in that particular room. Another point was if you look over on the other side, well, even over here, you can see that there's multiple levels of the roofing. What has happened is this house has been expanded on over time. Now, we didn't notice this until we sat down and kind of looked at the video footage and looked at the house again, but this house has been expanded, then they bricked it. So this brick is not the original exterior of this house. This was actually done later on. And when we went back and looked over it, we noticed that the underside is required to have, even back in the old days, even back in the 50s, it still had to have air vents for the crawl space. That's probably the reason it was kind of a little bit soft, was because there's not enough ventilation. Moisture's getting trapped underneath the house. Moisture wood over time rots. There you go. So chances are the flooring is going to have to be replaced, and there's going to have to be extra vents cut out in the crawl space areas. So of course you've already seen the roof. You know the roof is going to have to be done. So we tally all this up. We've got a $15,000 to $20,000 re-roof the whole house, including some decking boards, some possible and rotted wood. We've got an HVAC system is going to have to be installed, which around here is going to be between $8,000 and $9,000. You saw the stand-up heating units. Of course, going to have to be pulled out. Those were gas. If we want to go with total electric, we're going to have to run some extra wiring. May have to keep it with gas, which is fine. Just have to cut those lines and cap them off so they don't pose a problem. And other than that, between those two, that other side would probably have to be cut out and replace that window. And if we're going to do that, we might as well go ahead and replace all the windows. And that's going to be about, on this house, about an $8,000 or $10,000 job for just the windows. So now with the drywall on the inside, trim work, redoing the floors, painting, and chances are we may have to be, and if you also look back around the corner on the front, another clue was the meter is actually mounted into the brick, and the roof, the weather vane actually goes straight out through the roof. Now that's not a problem because that was up to code at the time that the house was built. But if you ever have to replace that meter panel, you're going to have to bust out brick, which is going to be a major expense. And the weather vane going through the roof, unfortunately, that causes a leak hazard. So if anything ever has to happen to that side of the house, then there could be problems. May end up having to just take it all down and talk to the power company about running an underground line to the house and relocating the meter base somewhere else. So because of all these reasons, we're looking at somewhere around in the $50,000 to $60,000 range for doing the rehab. Plus, if you look online, you can look at the tax assessor's website. You can look at other listed houses in the area. You can look at other sold houses. That's what you want, is the other sold houses, because that is what somebody, a buyer and a seller, came to terms on the purchase price of that house. And if it's a new house, if it's been a rehabbed house, it's in this neighborhood, then it gives you an idea on what this house could sell for once it's fixed up. You take your repair costs, you take your profit, you subtract that from what you could sell the house for, and that's your maximum allowable offer. Well, that came out to way below what they're wanting for the house. So this one isn't going to work. So we're going to pass on this one. I hope y'all learned a few things. If you have any questions, make sure to give me a call, 478-273-0062, or you can go to our website at realestateproblemsolver.com to get a hold of me. But this one we're going to pass on, so we're going to move on to the next one, and I'll talk to you on the next video.